have June Sale have a heart attack.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to play with lobster on, so it wasn't going to work. All right. Hi, everybody. This is the Wind Ensemble. This is the last part of our band program. This is mostly features upperclassmen, but there's some freshmen and sophomores as well. We're going to play 4 pieces for you tonight. The first one is called Dance Perpetual Dance, and it's going to feature June Sale on the clarinet. So everyone root for June Sale. Here we go. Next up is another fun, fast-paced piece. It's called Bayou Breakdown. So the format is a Bach fugue, like 4-part fugue harmony, but the melodies are kind of like a ragtime-ish New Orleans thing going on in the 1910s. So it's very interesting, a lot of different solos. So the same form as what Bach would do, but not what he would write at all. So it's called Bayou Breakdown. Thank you. Up next is a newer piece called Shadow Waltzes. So it's going to be a waltz in 3, but still doing various different time signatures. There's going to be a lot of minor things happening, a lot of creepy background things happening for Shadow Waltzes. It's a good piece. There's also a lot of solos. Hopefully you'll enjoy this one. We do. So here's Shadow Waltzes.
We're going to do one more.
I guess I won't scream. We're going to do one more for you. Before we do that, I kindly ask that you help us put everything back. We have to have this room cleaned for tomorrow for various things. So if you could help put chairs and stands percussion back, I would be most grateful. Thank you. I also want to say before we do this, sorry. Do you need anything? No, you're fine. All right, just checking. Sorry, I see things. I check. So I want to thank everyone. First, I want to thank the admin here at Adams for being so supportive in everything we do. Thank you. Next, I want to thank all the parents and the volunteers and the boosters and the e-board, everyone. We have done such great things these first weeks, 6 weeks of school, starting with before school started with band camp and everything. It's gone off without a hitch. Things are going great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you. And then next, I should thank my family. They are not here right now. They have dance, I believe, or something. So we're starting to get that time. She's 7. We got dance half the school night. So they'll be back at some point. But thank you for putting up. I worked like 72 hours last week, so I saw my kids once. So thank you to my wife. We will do one more for you in just a moment. It's going to be called Tarantella. A tarantella is an old Italian dance from like the 1600s, and it comes from tarantula. And they believe if you did this fast dance, you'd be okay after the spider bite. That is a true statement. I looked that up, so that's what a tarantella is. So it's going to be a zany, crazy, fast dance-like thing, and in the middle you're going to hear like this children's song. Hopefully you recognize it. It goes slow in the middle, you'll recognize it. And then we'll go back to the tarantella. Just 1 second, thank you. Thank you.